So instead of dealing with all the glaring issues in California, like the homeless crisis or the fact that the fire hydrants did not have water, Gavin Newsom has decided to start a podcast so he can rebrand himself as this cool, moderate Democrat. Now, unfortunately for Gavin Newsom, I do not have amnesia. I remember when he shut down his own state and then went out to a Michelin star restaurant called French Laundry. This man is a snake oil salesman, and he and the rest of the Democratic elites hate you and me. In his first episode, he has Charlie Kirk on, who's the founder of Turning Point USA and is probably the best political organizer we have in the United States right now. Charlie Kirk is wicked smart. Now, it's clear to me what Gavin Newsom is doing. He knows the Democrats are in free fall with young men. Charlie has an audience of millions of young men, so why not have him on the podcast? Gavin Newsom needs Charlie Kirk way more than Charlie Kirk needs Gavin Newsom. In fact, Gavin Newsom is bringing nothing to the table in this interaction. Gavin Newsom knows he needs to reach some of Charlie Kirk's audience and some of these young conservatives if he wants to run in 2028. So he's hoping maybe 1% of Charlie Kirk's audience will look at him differently and say, you know what, I might like that guy, so he can build on that moving forward into 2028. In the podcast, Gavin Newsom actually said it's deeply unfair that men are participating in women's sports. Why hasn't he said that sooner? Why is he saying it now in the 11th hour that Democrats are in the minority on that issue? In the recent New York Times Ipsos poll, 79% of Americans don't want men in women's sports. Gavin Newsom, he's really trying to rehab and rebrand himself. Now, you guys know I welcome folks on the left, the right, the middle, all across the political spectrum. It's come one, come all to the Halloween ball. I literally worked on the Kennedy campaign and opened for Bobby in Philadelphia when he left the Democratic Party. I've seen people leave the Democratic Party and evolve their views. But like Mark Zuckerberg, who I did a video on a few weeks ago, Gavin Newsom is one of these lifelong Democrats who's done a 180 since Donald Trump's decisive victory on November 5th. California sued the Trump administration 120 times during Trump's first term. This is someone who also held an emergency special session to safeguard the progressive policies in California after Donald Trump's victory. So Gavin Newsom, I'm glad you're finding your balls in the 11th hour, but I reserve the right to be skeptical just like you guys do. I'm all for people evolving, but I get to verify in time if people are going to live up to what's coming out of their mouths because their actions are very different from what they're saying. Let's not forget, Gavin Newsom and his cronies in the Democratic elite, Kamala Harris, Alex Soros, Joe Biden, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Hakeem Jeffries, they hate conservatives. This isn't like 2008 McCain versus Obama where we just disagree on a few policies. They absolutely want to destroy conservative family values in the United States of America. Gavin Newsom and his slimy friends, I guess until today, they want men and women's sports, they want open borders, they want abortion on demand, they want wars around the world. So now I can't tell if he's seen the light or if he's seen his name in lights for 2028. Now, some of you guys know this story. I met Gavin Newsom at the Reagan Library in September of 2023 for the presidential debate. I was there covering it in the spin room. I'll never forget asking his team, his little gay assistant, could I have 30 seconds to ask Gavin Newsom a question? Could I interview him? I've got this big following on TikTok. It's growing quite fast. Gavin Newsom and his little sassy liberal assistants rolled their eyes and said, no, he has to go on CNN. He has to go here. They would not even give me an email address to reach out to a press secretary. Now, here we are less than 2 years later. I have 400,000 more followers than Gavin Newsom on TikTok. I have 30 million more likes than Gavin Newsom on TikTok. I'm reaching more people than he ever could on the platform. And this was a platform that was decisive in Trump winning this last fall. So Gavin Newsom, who's a greasy, slimy, slimeball vampire with enough hair gel to survive the apocalypse, now he wants to come around and talk to independent creators and influencers and podcasters, but he had no time for us before. So I think it's ironic the podcast is called This is Gavin Newsom because this is not Gavin Newsom. This isn't the Gavin Newsom we've seen the last 4 years who's run California into the ground. Now he says it's unfair for men to be in women's sports. Why hasn't he said that sooner? It's March of 2025. Why now? And one thing I love about conservatives and the Republican Party right now is that it is a Big Tent party. You've got Tulsi Gabbard, you've got RFK Jr., you have many former Democrats who switched over because they could not stand these far-left liberal policies under Joe Biden. Trump was able to go into deep blue territories and turn them more red. He had an event at Madison Square Garden. He would go to Chicago, Los Angeles. This man was fearless going out there and talking to liberal voters. But I personally don't think it's the job of Republicans to go on to Gavin Newsom's podcast on his turf and give him political strategy advice on how to reach young men and women in this country. The Democrats spent billions on Kamala Harris's campaign. If they don't have the money and the wherewithal to figure out why they lost or why they weren't reaching the people on podcast or an independent independent media, that is on them. It is not our job to help Gavin Newsom rehab his image, and this will probably be the last time I talk about him for a while. If Gavin Newsom really decides to go there and put his foot down and err on the side of common sense, then I will give him credit when the time comes. But until then, this is all lip service. I've said it before and I'll say it again. This country is not really divided between Republicans and Democrats right now. It's divided by those who love the United States and those who seek to destroy it. A majority of Americans, we just want common sense. That's why you see 79% don't want men and women's sports. Over 80% want to deport criminals. But Gavin Newsom, he's been in the minority for so long, now he wants to rebrand. All right, my friends, thanks for liking and following. Drop a comment. Tell me what you think about Gavin Newsom trying to rebrand himself. Charlie Kirk, I think he is a genius. There's nobody more equipped to go sit down and have these conversations with Gavin Newsom right now, but we have to be cautious and keep an eye on him. Is he going to walk the walk, or is this all talk? And if you live in California, I'd love to hear from you because I know a lot of lifelong Democrats from California who are fed up with the party. They're leaving, they're going Republican, they're going independent. So I want to hear from you. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.